Left Turns, Right Hooks. I'm your host, Dan Lindsay. It's episode number 28, your NASCAR playoff primer. And it's prediction central around Left Turns, Right Hooks right now. We already dropped an episode of NFL predictions with Tyler, so welcome in. You see the topics next to me. Not only am I going to talk playoffs, my first four out, and my championship four. I also picked my championship winner. But we're going to talk about how I would like to fix the playoffs. It's something that I've been brewing for quite a long time now. So we're going to actually start with the playoff fix that I have, and it's a doozy. Now, I will say, I'm changing a lot of things. Now, we're going to talk about race wins, stage wins, winning the regular season, different rotation of tracks, whole gamut of a lot of things. The only two things I did not change is the bonus structure for wins and stage wins. I'm still going to keep the 5 bonus points for your playoff total if you win a race, and you still get the 1 point playoff bonus if you win a stage. My overarching goal here is to really change how each race is determined and just really pad the points of every single race in the regular season, but really focus on the day of, not what it might come in the future. So that bonus stuff is nice, but we're going to focus on race to race. That way we can keep each little race in its own silo. And, well, we get more points and bonus points throughout the year, of course, to go for the playoffs. So I'm already going to say out there, my playoff fix is not scrapping the entire playoffs. I like the playoff system. I like the 16 drivers. I do foresee not quite as many elimination races. I'll get into that, partly because of how I want to structure the championship round. And yes, I do say round. Talked about that a couple months ago, but I have a championship round that I want to do. I have 4 tracks that I've picked, rotation that I hope we get. So we're going to go through a lot of stuff. And I will say, before we get through all this stuff, I ran some numbers. There aren't actually a lot of changes from this year's current point standings to the fix I have. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I would like to think some things I'm going to do would make some things simpler, and I'd like to see how it kind of progresses through the playoffs as well as compared to the current playoff system. So let's get into that. And then obviously it'll be hard to fix a couple of things that will be hard to compare apples to apples because of a couple of changes I'm definitely going to make. I would like to make if I was in charge. This is a very much if I was in charge scenario, but my playoff fix has a lot of things. I will say, though, again, not a lot of drivers change through this. William Byron actually still wins the regular season. Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson, they actually swapped their playoff positions, but they're still top 3. Chase Elliott, he actually drops 2 spots while Dan Hamlin comes up 2 spots. Christopher Bell, he stays the same in how the playoff system that I would do if I had a chance to. The big change is probably Tyler Reddick. He drops 3 spots because a big focus is going to be on winning during this fix. So that's part of the reason that Tyler Reddick kind of drops a little bit. Chase Briscoe and Alex Bowman, they all both jump a spot, while Bubba Wallace stays the same. Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, they actually swapped their positions, and as we get towards the end of the current playoff standings, Austin Cindric would retain his 13th place, and Josh Berry, SVG, they would actually swap their place, and I would still have Austin Dillon as last. Unfortunately, but hey, when you win in Richmond and have an average finish of over 20, and your average starting position is almost 20, the results, not everybody can do that. So the results there for Dillon, part of the reason that he is at the bottom and would stay at the bottom in my playoff fix. So let's get into it. Got a lot of things that I want to go over. Again, my playoff fix is going to focus on winning. Winning does matter here. I'm going to change the elimination style. We'll get into that a little bit, but basically, because of me wanting to do a 4-race championship, we have to kind of change the elimination, but I'm going to change how that's also structured a little bit as well. So there's been changes coming in the playoffs, but a lot of the bulk of my fix is the points. Winning matters. And when I talk about winning matters, I kind of wanted to resemble F1, IndyCar a little bit. It's a little hard because it's IndyCar and especially F1, they don't field 40 cars. Indy depends on the track and the who's all in there, but I mean, they're kind of like that 20 to 30 cars. 33 for the Indianapolis 500. F1, it's 20. It's 10 teams, 2 cars for each team. It's 20. So it's a little hard to kind of say, hey, because of the percentage of points given out in F1, let's mirror that percentage. It's a little hard to say that. I tried to do that, didn't quite work, but I do still have a lot of things broken out. So winning matters, wanting to resemble other motorsports. I'm going to be talking about winning the stage, winning the race, and winning the regular season. So let's start with winning a stage. Now, again, really kind of restructured here. Want to show that stage race is important, but even more important for winning ones. Like, yeah, it's great to have finished a stage, but even more incentive to go out there and try to win that stage, especially if you are points racing and you're just taking big risks. Like, well, if I win a stage, like that's even more points here. So winning the stage, my first one, first place, currently 10 points. I take first place winning the stage to 25 points, more than double. Again, just that incentive to place first in winning the stage. Second place, we're going to move down. They get 20 points. Now, I don't want to say because of certain tracks we should have a big structure change in points, and I want to take drafting tracks into account, but I don't want to take drafting tracks into account. That's part of the reason I'm doing like a 25 points for first, 20 points for second, because it might be just by a hair at your Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta races versus a lot of other tracks outside of your mile and a half, really, where you can have, those nice close finishes. So for a stage, 25 points to the winner, 20 points to second place, and then third place on through. Well, we're just going to double the current points that are given out for third through 10th place in a stage. I'm not making it more drivers in a stage. It's still going to stay at 10. But again, first is 25, second is 20 versus the 9 points they get now. And third place through 10th place, we're going to double those points. So if you finish third in a stage right now, you get 8 points. My system, we're going to double that. We're going to make it 16 points. Fourth place, again, 7 points right now, and you get 14 points in this playoff fix. So once we get through some stage fixes, again, that carries out through every stage of the race. Even the third stage in the Coca-Cola 600, the only race to have 3 stages instead of the usual 2 that give out points. Winning a race, that's where the bulk of this matters. And I have a lot of information here, so I'll try to go through it clearly. But I have a little chart here at the end too, where we'll talk about that a little bit. But winning a race is what people say really matters. Right now, if you win a race, it's 40 points. 40. Not bad, but that means pretty much every little position after that is only a minuscule difference between each position. I think from first to second, it's like 40 to 35, but everywhere after second, it's like a 1 point decrease every single spot, not separated any more than 1 point. And that's what I really like about the F1 and IndyCar structure. They really focus on that podium. They want to give you that stuff for the podium. They want you to really say, wow, really appreciate the guy, that driver, but man, it's still hard to make that podium. So that's what I want to kind of do for the system here as well, is say, hey, it's great and it's tough and we want to reward you for a win. But also in today's NASCAR, it's hard to get a top 5 and top 10. So we want to reward you for that too. So winning a race does matter, but a lot of this point structure is going to be a lot different instead of the 1 or 2 point decreases as we go through here. So winning a race, 100 points. Honestly, it's a really easy starting point as I was experimenting with different numbers, but this came to the conclusion. Let's do 100 points to the winner. It's easy to remember, 100 points, and you work down through that. So if you win a race, you get 100 points. If you finish second or third, it's a 10-point difference between first, second, and third for each difference there. So 100 points, 90 points, 80 points. And I have a lot of different point groups here as well that I've got written down here. So again, a 10-point decrease through each. And we'll bring up this chart that I have for the point difference for all the groups. Came up with a fun few names as well. So speaking of those fun few names that I have for these point standings, again, I have 1 through 40 here. Let's start from the left side, though. Points mean something. Again, 100 points to the winner. Take it down to 10 for second, another 10 to third. And at fourth, we're only going to do a 5-point drop to fourth place from 80 to 75 points. And then it's going to be another 5 point decrease down to fifth place. So a top five will net you at least 70 points. And if you win the race, you're getting 100 points. After fifth, though, we take another big drop and we go from 70 points to 62 points, so an 8 point drop, and then a decrease in points between sixth and 10th of 3 points per position. So 6th, 62, 7th is 59, so on, to where you only get 50 points for 10th place. So that's why I want to say points mean something. Top 10, 50 points, but if you win the race, it's double a 10th place finish. That means something. That seems to mean a little bit more. Top 20s, the next column over here. Top 20s are worth the grind, right? So we're going to have a drop from 10th place to 11th place, a drop of 4 points. And then we're going to do a 2 point decrease for every position from 11th through 15th. From 15th, we're going to do another 5 point drop and another 2 point decrease per position. So 15th will be 38 points. 16th will be 33, and we drop down 2 points per position. We get to 20th, and 20th is 25 points. So again, really easy to kind of remember these fives. So first is 100, 10th is 50, 20th is 25, and this gets worse. So the way I look at it, I mean, a lot of these drivers, they work hard to try to at least get a top 20. We're tracking top 20s, it seems a little bit more. Comparison, in top 10s are harder, so top 20s still difficult, but we want to reward accordingly. So rewarding as you go higher by changing that ratio a little bit more. After the 20th spot, we go down 6 points down to 21st, and then we do a 1 point decrease the rest of the way down to 30th. But between 25th and 26th, we're going to do another 3 point drop. So as you can see, again, 19 points you are awarded to 21st, then we get to 15 for 25th, and only 8 points for 30th place. So, not a big drop, but we are getting down to that minuscule. So it's like, hey, you kind of beat the part-timers a little bit if you finish in the top 30, because if you finish in the top 30, that's pretty much all the chartered cars, plus a couple open cars, as currently JGR is, and then you get these other part-timers that come in. So top 30 is like, hey, we want to give you some points, but didn't really do much to beat a lot of the field. 31st through 40th, I have a point value for 31st through 35th. That's 5 points per each of those positions. You only get 5, no more, no less, depending on where you finish between 35th and 31st. And then 36th through 40th, again, only, and I'm pretty sure NASCAR's current system, these last 5 positions, it's all the same point amount. I think it's 1 point for them. I put that to 2. Basically a thanks for coming if you finish 31st or worse. Hey, we're going to reward you with a few points, but not a lot. If you can't finish the race or you barely made the race, what have you, you're not going to get a lot of rewards in those points. So 5 points if you finish in top 35 or between 31st and 35th, only 2 points if you finish worse than 35th. All right, moving on in my playoff fix here, we've talked about the point structure. I hope you enjoyed that chart. You can reference that, but again, really wanting to show, hey, if you win the race, you get this many points, but it could really get bad quickly in points if you barely crack the top 20. So once we transition to making that fix, we're going to fix the regular season as well. And all this is to say that we want to give the winners an opportunity to accumulate a lot more points than the guys that just can't quite win a race, but they don't really finish much better than 10th, 12th place every race. So they're consistently top 20, top 15, but we don't want to basically make that barely a difference between, first place and 10th place and 15th place. We want to reward those top tier cars more. And I feel like the system does that. And it translates well into the whole playoffs, as well as winning the regular season being a part of pushing into the playoffs. So winning the regular season, important, not as important as winning races, but winning the regular season does afford certain points things there. So, it's something that we need to talk about here as well. So win the regular season right now, you get 15 points. I want to put that at 50. Again, let's do easy math, easy numbers to remember. We remember 5s and 10s and 0s, so let's remember 50 points if you finish first in the regular season standings. If you finish second, it's a 5-point difference as we go down first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So 45, 35, 25, 15 so at least 15 points if you finish in the top 5 of the regular season versus 15 points if you win the regular season. But once we go beyond 5th place, we're going to just double the current points. So again, if we are finishing 10 points, 15 points at 5th place, that's current right now. We're just going to double his current points, 6th place through 10th place for winning and placing within the regular season. So again, emphasis on I'm doing well all year. I'm points racing well. I've won a couple races to finish high in the regular season standings. So we want to reward that consistency and winning those races, not just hey, I'm Austin Cindric, I'm Austin Dillon, I'm Josh Berry that won one race and I don't points race very well. We want to show a difference between the William Byron, Denny Hamlins of the world versus the Josh Berry, Austin Dillon, Austin Cindrics of the world. Even though they're all excellent drivers, just the consistency and the opportunity to win more often lies with certain drivers, certain teams versus others. And that's just the truth we have in NASCAR right now. And that's fine. We need that competitive balance there. All right, my playoff fix is we're going to move on to fix number 2 here. We're going to change the elimination style of all the races. Now, currently, it's in the playoffs, 3-3-3-1 championship race. I'll talk about this more, but I want to move to a 4-race championship round. 4 drivers, 4 races for the championship. Get a little more balance and to say, hey, go out there and do well on one track. I like the championship round format a little bit more, but moving to a round format like that for the championship means we got to change how we do the eliminations. So I don't want to stay with 3 elimination races. I say we only do 2 elimination races. So drop the number of elimination races to 2. So we essentially race 3 times, cut 6 drivers. And we do that a second time. Raced 3 times, cut another 6 drivers. Now, I think you could argue on how many drivers you want to cut there, maybe cut more after the first trio of races versus the second trio of races. We could put 6 drivers in the championship round, so you cut 5 and 5, or you cut 6 and 4, however you want to do it. You could do a lot of different ways. My point of more here is let's we got to cut down on the number of elimination races. If we're going for a 4-race championship, means we have to kind of eliminate drivers in a different way. To me, I think that championship round should be 4 to 6 drivers. I think you could even argue 3, but I think 4 to 6 seems like that playoff sweet spot for the playoffs for the championship round. So we can haggle about that. But my point I want to say is we're racing 3 times, we're cutting drivers. Another 3 times, another set of cuts, and then we get to our championship round. Also, we're going to drop the reset for bonus for the rounds between these playoff rounds. Now, I think we still need to do the point reset after the regular season so we can separate that group of playoff drivers versus the group of everybody else. Nobody else has anything to really gain in the point standings. After that, I know certain monies are awarded depending on where you finish in the regular season. Well, we need to separate that between the playoff drivers and the non-playoff drivers, just like you have the playoff teams and non-playoff teams in the NBA, NFL, baseball. So let's drop the resetting of points, and instead of the reset, we'll do something kind of similar, but if you make it to the next round, you get a 1,000 point bonus. We at least get points kept through that carry on. So if your regular season winner keeps winning a race per playoff round, he is keeping in line with staying on top. You're getting that advantage, strengthening that advantage for the regular season winner, or a 3 or 4 time winner from the regular season versus 1-time winner from the regular season. So we can kind of again make winning matter here more. So we're going to award a bonus instead of a reset, and that bonus I feel is 1,000 points, just because again that'll help us with the differentiation of who's moving on versus not when we just look at the regular points standings. We're still doing the bonuses for everything, of course, but we're going to throw an additional bonus instead of doing a reset on the playoffs. My final fix is the 4 race championships I have alluded to. I'd love to do a track rotation here, maybe even a championship rotation every couple years, 2 years maybe. We're in Phoenix. We've been in Phoenix for 5 or 6 years now. We're going to Homestead for 1 year. Let's do Homestead for 2 years. So let's go Homestead, and then if we want to go back to Phoenix, let's go to Phoenix for 2 years. Let's go to Las Vegas for 2 years. Let's go to Texas. Those are the 4 tracks I feel should be in the playoff. Weather, size of the track, exciting racing on most of those tracks. Phoenix, I feel we're getting better at racing there. Texas and Las Vegas, I know we're kind of still working out some kinks of what the racing looks like there, but I think the racing is good there. Vegas, Texas, Homestead, they're all 1.5 mile tracks roughly in that length. So it's going to provide better racing there as well. I don't want to throw Kansas in there as well, but Kansas, when you get to end of October, end October, early November, well, it's a little cold. So let's stick with warm weather tracks. So that's why I say Phoenix, Vegas, Texas, and Homestead. But 4 races for the championship round. I really feel like this should be a big consideration for NASCAR in this. I've talked about that before a couple months ago on how I would do it, even laid out 4 years of how to do it. So I'm kind of tweaking that a little bit here, but 4 race championship, track rotation, championship track rotation, even if you don't want to do all the track rotation, do it and change it every 2 years, instead of maybe just every year. Make the scheduling a little bit easier, but we know that in this championship round, we're going to be going to all these tracks, and I feel like when you put all 4 intermediate tracks, you get a little bit more of a volatility. Not as much volatility as a drafting track, but not the possible 400 out of 500 lap domination that we've seen from Byron and Larson this year at the short tracks. And the short track racing isn't great. Intermediate tracks really right now are providing a lot of good racing. Phoenix is a short track, but it's also getting better with racing with the tire. So that's why I throw Phoenix in there. And again, it's been a big championship staple for a while. So we don't want to just throw that away. I think you could maybe argue a Martinsville in here. Don't really want to do Bristol. Again, I think it depends on what the tire luck's like the next couple of years, which it seems like they're making a lot of small steps this season versus last season, especially. But let's keep with these 4 tracks for now. Again, potential weather, and we're looking at just potential ease of getting there. And we know Homestead is making upgrades to do the championship race next year. So I say we're all in for a rotation here. Let's try to keep with these 4. And then in 3-4 years, maybe we can evaluate, are we liking these 4 tracks? Do we have something else we want to do? Whatever have you there. But my last playoff fix is a 4 race championship with Phoenix, Vegas, Texas, and Homestead. All right, now that we've gone through the playoff fix, let's get to my playoff picks. The first 4 out for me is tough right now. SVG is a very popular pick to be among the first 4 out, but I will tell you right now, he is not on my list. So let's get to my list here of my first 4 out. Again, a tough list, but I have some brief reasons for who I'm kind of picking to be among the first 4 out. First up on the docket is last season's regular season winner, Tyler Reddick. Unfortunately, he's below the cut line right now for this year's playoffs. I just haven't been impressed by Tyler this year. Just when it comes down to it, just haven't been very impressed by him. I think it's a little tough right now. He has actually finished 19th or worse in the last 4 of 5 races. And just the consistency all year has been there, but he hasn't been consistently really, really good like we saw last year, which is very interesting because we got Bubba in the playoffs this year. So I think we were thinking, Bubba got to win. Like, Tyler's going to win eventually. And then as the races tick down, we only got to 5 to 4 to 3 races. Reddick's chances kind of just, weren't there anymore. Now, of these playoff drivers, Reddick is probably the one guy that I'm not the most comfortable putting in this last 4 out, but I kind of feel like there's going to be a big splashy name that's not going to make it out of the first round. I think Chase Elliott's a candidate there. Alex Bowman's a candidate there. Joey Logano. It's hard to kind of put some of these drivers, tier them in a way of like, wow, they're all doing really well. They're all doing really bad. No one is doing really bad outside of a couple guys, which I'll get to in a second. But Tyler Reddick, he's going to be kind of that splashy name that I'm actually going to put out after after the first round here, but that's probably the guy I'm least comfortable with when it comes down to the first 4 out. The next guy on my list is Austin Dillon. Now, he got that redemptive win at Richmond, which is very nice to see. Didn't have to do any kind of kamikaze diving to get the win like he did last year. So it's great to see him redeem himself at Richmond just a couple weeks ago. But honestly, Dillon, we like you. I think the fandom likes you. The media likes you. You're a good personality. You are kind of the face of RCR right now. But RCR isn't as well regarded as it used to be, unfortunately, for whatever reason. They've definitely seemed to have dropped a peg in the Chevrolet manufacturer eyes a little bit for whatever reason. We've seen flashes, we've seen speed, we've seen Kyle Busch do well at super speedways, seen Dillon do well at drafting tracks, speedways, doing decent on road courses as well, but just haven't been able to put that whole thing together, both of them. And when I look at the points total, it's like Dillon's been there, but it's not been great. If we look at the last 5 races, when we take out the Richmond win, the 5 races without Richmond, Dillon's only finished better than 15th in 2 of those races. And we're going to really have to rely on equipment and teammates, I think, in these playoffs, especially this first round. I don't think Austin Dillon's quite going to do it. Unfortunately, again, nice to see him actually make the playoffs this year if he didn't last year when he could have. If the Richmond race would have gone a little bit better and different for him. But Austin Dillon, he is second on my list for the first 4 out for this year's playoffs. The next guy on my list is Josh Berry. I feel like this is an easy pick. Josh, he won really, really early this season, and just don't feel like we've heard from him since. And it's kind of the, we're the 4th Penske car, but we're not really the 4th Penske car, but we are, but we're not. And Penske's done well. They've had flashes, but if we consider them to be the 4th car for Penske, they're just not getting the information or speed that the rest of that team is as well. So it's a little difficult, and I get it. They are at their own organization with the Wood brothers, but that alliance with Penske really helps them, and I feel like helped them early. As the end of the season's come on, I feel that Josh Berry's done just too much too late. He's finished well. He's got some top 10s, top 15s in recent weeks. But again, I just don't think it's quite enough to survive these first 3 races. So Josh Berry, while I'm cheering for him and I'd like to see him do well in the playoffs, I just don't think it's in the cards for him. Now, I mentioned that SVG is going to get past this first round, so he is not going to be on this list. So the final guy on my list is Austin Cindric, another Penske guy, a true Penske guy. Cindric has done well on drafting courses. If Atlanta was in this group, I would say, sure, let's move Cindric on to the next round. But instead, we have a couple intermediate tracks and a short track, and I just don't think that Cindric is going to measure up to the rest of this field. That's kind of, I feel like, with a lot of similarities in a lot of these guys as far as we've seen potential, we've seen how they can do. With Dillon, one short track I don't think is going to be enough for him. And this for Cindric, there's no drafting track, so that's why I'm kind of out on Cindric as well. He has had 1 top 10 since Pocono. And again, it's a tough field out there. So when you have mostly the best of the better drivers in this playoff, Cindric is kind of one of the men looking out right now. So it's thanks for coming and thanks for joining, playing with us again this year, Cindric. But unfortunately, I think Cindric is the last one of the first 4 out that I have for this year. And I said Bowman a couple different times last year. Cindric might be that guy where I'm missing out, or Tyler Reddick might be that guy where I keep on, saying, oh, they're not going to make it out of a round, and they keep proving me wrong. So I'm not actually mentioning Alex Bowman this year's playoffs for that reason. I messed that up a lot last year, so this year, not going to say Alex Bowman, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cindric is kind of that guy to where I'm going to prove everybody wrong. I'm going to prove the doubters wrong this year. Cindric could be that guy, but to me, he is the last guy on my list of first 4 out. All right, moving on to the Championship 4. Got to wrap this up here with the Championship 4. And honestly, I feel there's a ton of contenders. I could put all of Hendrick in here. I think for various reasons, Elliott or Bowman might be a little bit weaker for making the Championship 4, but I think any one of the Hendrick drivers could make it in here. Larson, I don't feel is being talked about the championship for as other guys are, and kind of in retrospect, I kind of wish I would have put him in my championship for because I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it in there at all. So he's probably one of those guys where he's like the first guy that I'm leaving out that probably could be in there. Same with Joey Logano. He didn't have to worry about the barely making the playoffs. And again, a lot of these tracks lend well to Penske, as you'll see in one of my picks here for the championship four. But I just couldn't quite put Joey in there. So I feel like there are a lot of potential drivers for this championship for the championship. And that's why I want to go to a 4-round championship, or 4-race championship round, I should say. And it's tough to really say like, oh, these guys are going to do better than others. I could swing and miss on all of them, but I do feel that we're going to have at least 100 car, one JGR car, and the other two could be from those organizations or complete surprises. So reveal my championship four. We will start off with probably one of the more popular picks, though I don't feel he's getting enough attention right now. William Byron is being my first guy in the championship four, the regular season winner this year. He's won 2 races. He's been consistently up there. He's led or been, I believe, in the top 3 in points for majority of the season, if not all season. He's been in that top 3. He's led the points for a lot of the season. So again, just showing how well he's done. I kind of feel like he's kind of under the radar in a way. When we're comparing to a lot of the playoff drivers, I feel like if someone's going to pull a Hendrick driver into the championship four, it'd probably be Larson. But I'm not going to go with Larson here. My Hendrick driver for the championship four will be William Byron. Moving on to the Penske camp. Like I said, I'm not putting Joey in here, though I feel like you really could make a good argument for him here. It's an odd year, as Jordan Bianchi likes to say, so we're not going to put Logano as a championship contender. It's an odd year. But Ryan Blaney, honestly, he could make it 4 years straight of a Penske driver winning the championship. And he actually, and I'm just not even going to try to do a spoiler alert here. He's going to be my championship pick here, just because of it being Phoenix, of him doing well at Phoenix, of him doing well at the semifinal round of tracks. Blaney's doing well. He's come on very, very strong the last 6 races. He's one of the guys that have scored some of the most points over the last 6 races of the regular season. So I feel he is getting hot at the perfect time. So Ryan Blaney is my number 2 driver in the championship four, and he's actually going to be my championship winner for this year. Rounding out my championship four, I got to put Denny Hamlin in here. JGR has had speed. He's had the finishes. He's tied for most wins. He'd have 2 himself if it wasn't for SVG winning all the road courses. And honestly, speaking of SVG, again, I did not put him in my first 4 out. I think he actually can make it to the semifinal. I think he can be part of the final 8 drivers, mostly due to I feel like a couple of drivers will do worse in that first round. He probably wins the Roval or finishes very well at the Roval, and that helps him kick him into the win would obviously put him into the final 8, but I think even a good finish there will put him into that championship semifinal round. SVG tied for wins, gonna go far thanks to the Roval, but Denny Hamlin is going to be the one in the championship four, representing 4 wins on the season, and JGR. The year seems to be aligning for him well, but I just don't feel these tracks are going to align for him quite at the end like it will for Penske. He's good in a lot of these short tracks, and he can surprise a lot of us. I think he's going to have to win in the second and third rounds to move on, just because there's a couple of tricky tracks for him. The Roval, Talladega is a big one for everybody. But Denny Hamlin is my 3rd guy for my championship four. Rounding out the championship four is his fellow teammate Chase Briscoe. I feel Chase has had the speed even more than Hamlin this year, especially when it comes to qualifying. Chase always seems to find himself up in the top 10, top 15, top 5 a lot, leading laps, winning races. Leading laps and almost winning races. He has the 1 win, and probably argue he's robbed of a couple other wins this year. Chase Briscoe, I think, is doing excellent in his first year in JGR equipment. So if I'm going to put Denny Hamlin in my top 4, my championship 4, I have to put Chase Briscoe here as well. Again, guys like Joey, Kyle Larson, I think will be contenders on the very end. Guys like SVG are going to just advance just as a nature of the way the playoffs are structured and the races that are in each round. Talladega, we all know that's going to be the big one that's going to change a lot of things, which will make that Martinsville race on the final race of the Championship 8 a very, very interesting race all around. But I feel like when the pressure is on, these are going to be the 4 drivers that we will see in the Championship 4: Byron, Blaney, Hamlin, and Briscoe. So that wraps this up for the NASCAR playoff primer. Again, I talked about my playoff fix, my first 4 out, my Championship 4. Please let me know in the comments below what you think of each of these topics. Let me know who your playoff drivers are, who's winning the NASCAR Championship for 2025 for you. Leave it in the comments below. Share this video with your NASCAR friends. Give the video a like. Do all the fun things. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.